Thanks, Jim. Good evening. This is the October meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission. My name is Greg Young. I'm the chair. And this open meeting of the Northborough Conservation Commission is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on July 16th, 2022. All members of the Northborough Conservation Commission are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The act allows Northborough Conservation Commission to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Tom Beals.
Here.
Dan Clark.
Here.
Diane Gouldner.
Here.
Yeah, Staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Vinnie Vignali.
Here, yes.
Jim DiGiulio.
Here.
Thank you. Some ground rules. The chair will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda by name to make a presentation and speak to their application. Participants will provide their full name and hold until the name is called. Each speaker will be asked to mute their phone or computer when not speaking and to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. Those responding will be asked to wait until the floor is yielded to them by the chair. Speakers who wish to respond to the comments of others do so through the chair, taking care to identify themselves. Each vote taken by the commission will be conducted by roll call. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comments as follows. By phone, dial *9 to raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Please note that part of your phone number will be visible to those viewing the meeting. By Zoom, click raise hand on the bottom of your screen and wait to be recognized. The chair will ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. Once the chair has a list of all public commentators, the chair will call each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Diane, you ready?
I am ready. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2022, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law on July 16th, 2022, this meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. To participate in the public comment portion of this public hearing, go to the Northborough Remote Meetings of YouTube channel or the town website for Zoom information. The meeting will include the following hearings pursuant to Mass General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, the Northborough Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and the Stormwater Management and Land Disturbance Bylaw. Application for a stormwater management and land disturbance permit for 100 Barefoot Road, map 215, parcel 0043 by Monocle Tycoon Real Estate Trust, LLC, seeking permission to alter an area greater than 1 acre for proposed additions and or expansions of the existing warehouse building. Application for a notice of intent for 93 Maynard Street, map 20, parcel 15 by Mark and Raquel Menendez for proposed restoration of 4 impacted areas within the bordering vegetated wetland, buffer zone, and riverfront area. And last, application for a notice of intent for 0 Hudson Street, map 15, parcels 19, 20, and 21 by Scott Goddard, Circle Assets, LLC, to construct 2 duplexes with associated appurtenances that alter bordering vegetated wetlands, riverfront area, and the bordering land subject to flooding. And that's it.
Super. Thanks, Diane.
You're welcome.
I see Kelly has joined us. Kelly, we can not see you, but I bet we can hear you.
You. Yes, I'm trying to figure out why my camera won't turn on, but I'm here.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. Meeting minutes from September. I did not have any edits or comments. Anybody else have any comments or edits?
Nope.
Nope. Good by me.
Okay. Then we need a motion to accept the September meeting minutes.
I move that we accept the meeting minutes of September, what was it?
12.
12th, thank you. 2022. As
Second,
written.
Good by Tom Beals. Roll call. Tom Beals,
yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay. First up is, let's see if we have anybody here for this one. First up is Barefoot Road. Vito Colon, Vito. Okay, Vito's coming in. Super. Hey, Vito, you're muted.
There we go. Sorry about that.
You're not. Okay,
I think the only one else is Michael. He's in the waiting room.
Michael Gardenier.
Yep. And I think that's it.
Okay, I promoted him.
Okay.
I think I did. Yep, he's somewhere in limbo.
All right.
Jim, did you see him? Michael,
He's on the screen, Greg.
Yep.
where is he?
There you go.
Where is he?
Hey Greg, it's Michael Garden here and John Rose from Dario Designs.
My
All right.
screen is not showing that. All right.
Yeah, Greg, it's not showing on my screen either, but I guess they're here, but can
That's
some
what
people
counts.
see them?
I can see them.
Okay.
Yes, I can see them.
Dan can see them.
Yep.
That's interesting. I've not seen that before.
That's all. That's always good to hear from any IT person. I've never seen that before. It's always encouraging. So, all right, Vito, what's going on here?
All right. Vito Colonna with Cornerstone Engineering. Let's see. I'll just share screen. Okay, so this is 100 Barefoot Road in Northborough. We were here, I don't know if it was last meeting or the one before, for an RDA related to the wetlands and stream over on the side here, just to confirm that an NOI wasn't needed for the project. We've been before planning board, and that process was completed, and now we're before your board for a land disturbance permit, and we're also scheduled for the earthwork board upcoming meeting. So the existing site is right here. There's 290 to the back. This is the railroad tracks running down the side, Barefoot Road. And then there's this abutting commercial development. I think it's in the process of being built right now to the side of them right there. This is the existing conditions plan. It's a 4.4 acre parcel. Right now there's an existing warehouse on there. They have a driveway that comes in, parking up on the top level here. There's offices, kind of mezzanine space on this first level. Then you drive down below and there's a loading docks in the back. And it's all warehouse on the lower level right through here. These are that wetlands and that intermittent stream that we talked about last time. We're over in this area. Right now they have about 57,000 square feet of impervious areas with the roof and the pavement. And the only drainage on site is just a roof drain connection that comes from the roof. It connects down to a manhole down in this area. There's no surface collection or catch basins or anything like that for the parking areas. So the proposed development would be right here. There's two additions, one on each side of the building. It'd add about 22,000 square feet of footprint to the building. Would have some, similar to the existing building, there'd be some office mezzanine on the first level, and then below would be warehouse space. We did have to move that existing driveway. It had came down this right here, so we had to bump that over. So there's a new driveway that comes around here to that rear area that's essentially the same as before, except we've added this row of parking around the outside back edge, and then some additional paving down in this area so that we can access. There's going to be two or three, I forget, loading dock doors on the back right here. So the paving line would be right through there. So we have some additional paving there, these additional parking here. We've also added some additional parking up in the front here to coordinate with the new building. Some of the other additional work, we're relocating the septic system. It previously was right in here in the rear of the building. We found some good soils up in the front, so we're going to relocate that up here to accommodate those additional flows from the new building. This is a good area. We actually found good sand up in there with no groundwater. So then as far as the drainage goes, there's a 35,000 square foot increase in impervious area. So to offset that, we have a large infiltration system, detention system in the back here. It's underground. It's those Coltech chambers, and we have a collection system through that rear area in the side. There's deep sump catch basins, and they run through a storm scepter water quality structure right here. And there's also a second one here. It's a combination storm scepter inlet, take the place of a catch basin. So we get pre-treatment prior to entering this infiltration system. And then there's an overflow structure that discharges at a rate that matches the existing conditions. So overall, the system removes over 90% TSS through the combination of the storm scepters, deep sumps, and the infiltration system. In the front areas, we have a second system that's up in here. And it's a little smaller, but it's still fairly good size. It's 12 Coltech chambers. And there's another one of those inlet combination storm scepter treatment systems. So it collects runoff and then it allows for infiltration right through here. This area up here had better soils, as I said, when we tested for the septic system. But the soils were still suitable back here where the old septic was. They're just a little bit slower, so that's why we opted to put the septic up in the front. The overall disturbance was about 115,000 square feet, just slightly less. We, tried to keep that tight, but it was the minimum area we needed to get both of the additions in and also relocate that driveway around. We do have the erosion controls around the perimeter of the site, and we tried to phase it so that we'd try to minimize some of the disturbance all at once. So the intent was that trying to keep this building somewhat operational. So the idea was that we essentially build this addition first. So you kind of control that runoff, any erosion in the foundation hole itself before moving on, to work this relocated driveway and the utilities. So kind of phase it a little bit so you don't have this whole site opened at once. But it is a fairly big site with some disturbances out there. We're trying to manage that through phasing in your erosion controls. Let's see, the only other drainage out there we would be maintaining the roof drainage system for this existing warehouse. It would have to get temporarily rerouted and then coordinated through the other building to maintain that connection. The two new roof areas would go to this new infiltration system right in the back there for infiltration and some treatment also. I think that's all I have on that. We can hand it back over for any questions that the board may have.
The new infiltration system in the rear there, is that sitting on top of the old septic system?
It's in the same spot. So basically we would have to take that, remove that out, and that's why I would relocate the septic system to the front of the building. So they would have to get coordinated whether, so that would have to get, this septic has to get in first before, we do this. But it is in the same location, so they'll have to muck that out. They'll essentially pull that whole system out and then rebuild this area.
Vinny, have you received all the calculations you need And you're
Yes,
satisfied?
actually, I sent a set of comments to Vito and he responded appropriately. He addressed all the comments. There was some, like you had said, the phasing was the big issue. And so we've got, he described the phasing. Is that phasing shown on the plan somewhere that you described in
I
narrative?
think we have it on, let's see. Yeah, we did a sequencing plan here. And we also noted, I don't know if you want to have that as a condition also, that once the contractor's on board, that they submit a phasing plan to the commission for review and approval too. Because sometimes, we come up with a phasing plan and then once they have, their operations, they may have something that they, as far as their equipment goes, site conditions at the time they may want to change that. But we wanted, in case they want to change it, we wanted to make sure a final plan goes to the commission first for your review, your approval. Just in case, they have some other operations that, they have different type of equipment that could get
Mhm.
stuff done faster in a certain manner.
Yep.
I thought that may be a good idea as a
Yeah, that
condition.
makes sense
Absolutely.
because
Yeah.
we were concerned with the idea of what you were just explaining, pulling the old septic offline,
Mhm.
reconstructing the front one before you can pull that offline if you're going to stay operational. So it's going to be a lot of coordination.
Yeah, and it may come down when it's time to actually build. Maybe the tenant may not have to stay operational, and maybe that
Okay.
would something that could change that phasing. But I think right now they do want to stay operational, so it's going to have to be really working back and forth with the contractor, to get that done.
All right, good. Any questions from the commission? Comments, concerns? No?
No,
Let me take a look and see if we have any public questions. Anybody who's interested? I don't see any hands up. Nope. I think we're good. Okay, so Vinny, you're happy?
Yes, sir.
We got a good plan. I think the suggestion of a new phase approach once the contract is on board is a good condition to have in here.
Yes.
So I think we need a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Very good, Kelly.
second,
Second by Tom Beals. Roll call, Tom Beals,
yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes,
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
and I vote yes. All right. Now we need a motion for 100 Barefoot Road.
I'll make a motion to issue a stormwater management and land disturbance permit for 100 Barefoot Road.
Second.
Seconded by Dan Clark. Roll call, Tom Beals,
Yes,
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
yes,
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
And
And
that,
that'll be with the condition we talked about, we spoke about,
thank
yeah.
you. Yes. And the typical
Okay.
ones, we have about 5 or so, 8 or so
Yeah.
typical ones too.
Vito, when do they want to start? They want to try and get it in now? You're gonna wait until spring or?
I'm not sure I'm assuming it might wait till spring, but you never know. If they really want to get going on it. I'd assume it'd take a little while to get their, building permits and contractors on board, everything lined up. So I'm assuming spring.
Good. All right, very good.
Okay.
Thank you, Vito.
Thank you. Have a nice night.
Take care, stay well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Jim DiGiulio, any idea what that little snafu was there with the couple of us not being able to see?
Yeah, it's how the view was set. So it hides people that don't have a camera on. So I turned that feature off. So that's why you can see mine and Kelly's little symbol now.
I don't see
not
Kelly. I don't see either you or Kelly.
Yeah, no, then I'm not too sure. I'll have to look further into it. I thought it was just that setting that I had to switch over.
I can see a black box with my name.
I saw that before. I don't see it now.
And I've got I've got the name with no video.
Yep, that's what I see.
All I see is Vinny, myself, Dan, Tom, and a black box to Diane. Okay. If Todd joins us, and I don't, maybe I won't know, let me know. I'm sure we'll know when he's on board. But if anybody else sees him before I do, let me know. All right, I guess we're gonna go to 93 Maynard Street, Vinny.
Yes, and we have Mr. Menezes there, Mark, and Andrew
Let's see, we got some
Tebow.
hands raised here. We got Andrew.
Yep.
That's the only one I see hand up.
Oh,
Mr.
Raquel.
Menezes, Mr. Menezes, I got him. There's Andrew
And there's Mark. There should be three.
and Mark Menezes. Come out to panelist. Oh, I see Andrew. Andrew, you're muted, by the way.
Perfect. Yeah. So we all set to go. I'm happy to share my screen and kind of walk us through what we filed so far.
Yeah, in a second, we'll give you the heads up on that.
Perfect. Thank you.
So Vinny, this is an NOI, right?
Yes, it is. Yep.
And we're
We just got
focusing
the DEP file number at 6:18 tonight.
Okay. All right. All right. And this has been a challenging site so far. Not from
Yeah.
complexity level. So, okay, Andrew, what do you have?
Yep. So I'll share my screen for us here. So yeah, obviously, I mean, we know the site history, that we had an RDA going originally for some work on the site when a lot of clearing and disturbance had occurred. And so that was issued a positive determination and a cease and desist. So at this point, we came back with a notice of intent. The notice of intent package is for full restoration of the site. There's no more site work proposed as part of this project. This is to restore the four areas that we were looking at with Vinny. So this was originally filed on September 29th. Vinny had issued some comments after his review. So what you're seeing now is what we filed yesterday. It's the culmination of our supplemental materials that we're answering all comments from Vinny, updating our planting plan and the site plans accordingly. So the first graphic I'll walk us through here is a graphic that was included in the original filing. It shows us the four impact areas on site that we're revegetating. In orange, we see the areas that were upland buffer zone impacts, and shown in red in the top of the site is a BVW impact that we showed some photos of at the last hearing date. So at this point, I'm happy to walk us through each of the restoration areas, and then I'll address the comments we've answered since then. So in the
Yeah,
front,
one second, Andrew. So Vinny, we got this information yesterday?
Yes, I haven't had a chance to look through it in detail. I did a quick review of it, though.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Thank you. Yeah, so with that, I will walk us through in as much detail as possible and answer any questions that you guys have as a result. I know it's recent information. So our first two impacts areas are at the edge of the driveway. On the left of the driveway is all upland buffer zone impacts. On the right side is the mix of upland and wetland impacts that we showed. So both areas are proposed to be restored with a seed mix layer and a shrub layer. The tree layers on all of these are fully intact. There was never tree clearing done on site, but there was grading that removed all of the underbrush and the shrub layers. So we have a wetland seed mix shown in green along our wetland line that we've traced in blue. And then for our conservation areas, we have a conservation seed mix along the upland slopes on both sides. So for all of the restoration areas, we've chosen high bush blueberry, serviceberry, sweet pepper bush, and witch hazel. We went for a variety of shrubs that produce flowers, berries, nuts to try and incorporate pollinator habitat, foraging, as well as some nesting habitat. So our first two areas in the original filing, these were the shrubs and the seed mix. So nothing changed in this area. The biggest change that we have to highlight today is our restoration area 3. This is our largest restoration area. And this is all broken down by square footage and tables in this package, but this one's roughly 30,000 square feet. And it was originally proposed to just be a seed mix in our original filing. We had some conversations with Vinny about his comments and what kind of happened out there with all the grading. And so we agreed that the area needs a shrub layer as well. So we've added 300 shrubs to this section. There's 75 shrubs exactly of each of the 4 species that I highlighted in the first restoration area. So this was all buffer zone impacts. So we have that conservation upland seed mix, as well as 300 of the shrubs pictured here. It's witch hazel, sweet pepper bush, serviceberry, and high bush blueberry. And then the 4th restoration area that we are looking at is in the rear of the lot, behind the house, next to the chicken coop. So this is another area where there was some conservation easement impacts. We walked this area with Vinny, and what we've ultimately proposed is to fully revegetate the area within the conservation easement. It's also upland buffer zone. So we are seeding that with the same conservation seed mix and the same 4 shrub species. The only area that's proposed to be lawn grass is an area directly around the coop. That's just to provide access to it and prevent any future encroachment into the area. So at this point, we have updated site plans I'm happy to walk us through. Some of these were revised through Vinny's comments. Unfortunately, with the format the surveyor uses, the site plan can't be flipped or it skews some of the images. So I'll have to walk us through here. But what I want to address so far for Vinny's comments is when we originally filed this project, we used the existing conditions plan, and Goddard provided our GIS layers for much of the restoration. And Vinny issued comments about showing everything on the site plan, adding erosion controls, adding a fence in the back of the property. So at this point, these are new site plans that were given to the town yesterday that should answer all of these questions. So at the driveway, we now have both of our restoration areas shown in the front, they're surveyed on, and we have erosion controls circling the limit of work on both sides. In the bottom of the site plans, we have our details. It's going to be a silt fence with a straw wattle surrounding all of the work areas. The largest of the impact areas is seen along the side of the property here along the fence, and we denoted the restoration area 4 in the back of the property with erosion control surrounding it and the grass area along the fence. Another detail that was added after Vinny's comments, Vinny suggested that as we already have to remove this portion of the fence that was put into the conservation easement, the idea came up to expand the fence along the edge of the conservation easement to kind of act as a barrier in the field. That way the limit of grass is marked, and then the area that we revegetate behind it will not have any future encroachments. So at this point,
you're gonna remove the fence that's currently encroaching into the conservation area.
yep, and that note was added to the plans right here. There's about 3 or 4 links that have to get removed. And then from the point where it's okay on the property, we would then shoot it across just to keep all future work out of the conservation easement.
That's from the marker that's there, right? That point?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right here. So at this point, the only other comment that I had from Vinny was on the densities of the shrubs that we used. He was talking about other projects that have a few denser revegetation requirements. And so we provided a clarifying comment, essentially, that we are using the DEP inland wetland application guidelines, where they want the shrubs between 8 to 10 feet on center. So that would be about 1 shrub every 64 to 100 square feet. We used 80 square feet to be in the middle. We try to propose the shrubs in clumpings of about 3 per species with adequate space in between. We found that they typically establish faster, they produce well as far as berry and flower output with the spacing provided. So we feel that the density of the shrubs that have been proposed with the seed mix should allow all of the plantings to survive in their current conditions and then bring us back to that 75% revegetation threshold. So that's everything that we've issued at this point. I know that was a lot and the information came in yesterday, so I'm happy to answer any questions from that run through.
I've got a couple questions here. There was I don't want to say a blowout, it's probably the wrong term, but there was a significant runoff from the right side of the property across a neighbor's driveway last month. What steps are taken to prevent that from happening again?
There was, yeah, and the applicants had put up erosion controls along that side of the property. I believe Vinny has been able to inspect that area. So those erosion controls are already up, so they aren't part of the proposed work as they're already there. But that whole area where that land sloped down and there was that, blowout, for lack of a better term, that's been installed with erosion controls in the same format that the rest of the site will be installed with.
But I thought we had controls were up there, but before that happened, and they went right through them.
They had the fabric up, but it wasn't installed appropriately. They had a fabric kind of as a limit of work line. It looked
Yep.
like erosion and sediment control. It was the same material, but the bottom was blown in the breeze. So it wasn't installed appropriately. So at the time, or I think it was in August, the storm just went right under and washed onto the neighbor's property. But now, I think probably for the last month or a little more, a month or so, they've had an appropriately or correctly installed sediment barrier in place. And they left the old one as well, but they have one that is correctly in place. So I haven't seen any impacts like that since then. There has been water ponded on the up gradient side of the neighbor's driveway, or that common driveway, that I'm not sure if it had in the past, but it may have, because of that excessive flow before, it might have dug out a little bit of material that now there's a little more digging or a little more ponding area than was there. So that might be something to work with the neighbor on, just to put a little loam in and fill that back in, so it's not going to have a ponded area or a little standing water.
Where is that on the plan, that area you're talking about?
You got your arrow over to the right, yeah.
Yeah, that would have been somewhere around over here. The neighbor's driveway isn't shown on the plans, but it actually comes kind of right up through here. Actually,
Yep.
these dashed lines do indicate that.
Yep.
So yeah, that was here. The below it was kind of where the land slopes out back around the tennis courts.
Right.
Okay. And where's the ponding taking place, Vinny? Over in that area?
Just where his arrow is, just to the right of it. I think that's to the east. I'm not sure. It's north up on this plan.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're going backwards. North is south.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's to the right of his arrow. So that was one of the concerns that was there. We talked about the fence in the back, which is great. I appreciate that. I had heard that there was, if you go down on the plan where your arrow is into the conservation easement in the front, that there's been parking in that area during a couple of events that occurred at the house. So there might be, and there's a couple of plow blades that are parked in there still, that it's a conservation easement. So the only allowed use going through there is the paved area plus 3 feet on each side. There should be no other alteration in that. And that's what I expect one of the conditions will be in the order. So to help define that area, is it possible to add another couple of sections of fence on the end so that we can delineate just the limit of that conservation easement?
Yeah, I would certainly leave the answer to that question up to Mark and Raquel. I know they're on this call now.
Yeah.
But I certainly understand that question, so I'm happy to leave that answer up to them.
Mark is on the call. I can bring him in.
Can you guys please
Okay,
show
yeah.
where this new fence you're suggesting, Vinny, would go, please?
It's on the plan. Can you point to that area? Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
it'd
can
be
do
right
that.
there from the existing end of the fence in the front of the house and along the driveway on the right side. Extend it perpendicular to the driveway. Extend it into the driveway or a couple of feet off the driveway. And so I think it would be another 40 or 50 foot of fence just going in. It wouldn't have to make a gate with another gate to go through. It would just be a way of delineating, maybe 2 sections. I'm not sure what, 2 or 3 sections, just so you know that nothing should be occurring down in that front area of their property. Does that make
But
sense?
that's gonna block off the view of my house. This is gonna block off the view and narrow this down even more driving up.
No, Raquel, the fence, it's just to prevent the water. It's not a.
No, Mark.
It's not a.
No, it would be a
No.
fence, but it would be off to the right. It wouldn't be in the view of the house. It would block the view into the area up to the right where it's under the trees.
Mm-hmm. I'll put up a fence that,
Oh, Mark,
like
please.
like a real fence. I don't understand. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, it would be the same fence you have, just add 2 more sections or 3 more sections. So you know that you're not supposed to go into this area down by the road. Is that,
No, but the fence is there already. So we talk
Omar.
about where the plow was.
the plows that are in there are probably 60 or so, 80 feet into the conservation easement, and they're not supposed to be in the easement at
Yeah,
all.
I removed the plowers already. I removed the plower. So I'm just trying to see how far you want to bring the fence. We talk about the 6-foot fence, like the real fence, like a wood fence.
Yes, yeah, just continue the same fence that you have, on the fence that is already up there. It's already constructed on, as you're going up the driveway. There's a little section that kind of is a return off the fence that goes way back along where the work is. And then there's a couple of sections that kind of come in towards the driveway. I'm saying just add a couple more sections so that it's clear that that's the limit of the conservation easement.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I don't mind to do that. So, but bring where the conservation line is, or the proper line, the conservation line.
Conservation line. So you get that, Andrew? You can move your arrow to show. So it's from that
if I'm
little
understanding
corner.
correctly, what it essentially would be is not blocking any of the driveway, but the fence seen on my cursor here. My understanding is just a couple more links, just to kind of mark a little line kind of on the property on both sides, just as the kind of the area of, think about a straight line across, that's where the conservation easement would be.
Yeah, I
Okay,
wouldn't
so
even
if
need
this
it on
is
the
the
left side. I'm sorry.
Okay, if the request is that, that's fine. I don't mind to put this fence there. We have the fence there, so that's.
Yeah, and you wouldn't need it on the left side, that on the other side of it's just so that you can line up on that fence and say, okay, this is the limit of the conservation easement. That's all.
Okay, all right, that's good.
If the commission is okay with that, the commission makes the decision. I'm just making a recommendation.
I got another question here. Let's move on. If we could, we'll come back to this when we kind of wrap up. In the rear of the property, past the tennis court and past the chicken coop, we're into the conservation easement, correct? And Vinny, weren't there a number of trees we wanted cleaned up out of there?
There are some down trees that I think might have been removed already. But any down debris and stuff should get taken out when you're doing that restoration work.
Yeah, and it's my expectation that, that would be a special condition to remove anything leftover debris and clean up those areas.
But nothing, guys can hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So beside the bushes and all that, we didn't remove any tree on that section. They have a very old trees over there that has fallen by itself. I didn't touch any trees. So and the bushes was taken away. The area that was like, as you discussed, was green. Was taken away. Is not on the section where you planning to take the trees. That is, of course, as Vinny saw that they have some bricks and stuff that are planning to continue to do. But on that section in the back of the chicken coop, I didn't dispose anything, or I didn't remove any trees or touch any trees.
But then if those trees came down au naturel, we just leave them there, right? That's
yeah. If it is just a down tree that was natural, I thought that in one of the photographs that we had, there were a couple of trees that got pushed when they were doing the construction of the chicken coop. They did a couple of trees got taken down or fell down, and they just pushed them back into the corner. I think that's what you're referring to, Greg. And that's what we just check in the field, and we can clear those up.
Okay.
The other question that I had was, and I think it was something that came up on DEP's comments, was the question of the shrub species being able to grow in the upland conditions. Is that an issue that might raise its head? I don't want to have to plant twice, get it in, make sure it grows.
Yeah, I certainly don't. I don't believe so. The sweet pepper bush and serviceberry are both facultative. They grow just as well in the uplands as the wetlands, and we've been putting them in our planting plans for years, and they do a really good job in the uplands. Witch hazel itself is facultative upland already and thrives in that habitat. And high bush blueberry is often used as a landscaping plant in a lot of areas. Although it is fact wet, it grows very, very well in buffer zones, and it's one of the shrubs that we see creep upslope in many areas. So we like to include that in our planting plans just because it's one of the best native shrubs for wildlife. So I have full confidence that all the shrubs proposed as part of this will do very well in these areas.
Okay. Yep.
All right. Any other comments you have?
No, and I haven't looked at all the numbers as far as you updated the numbers for in the notice of intent so that there is alteration of wetlands. There's the area within the riverfront. And the other item was in DEP's comment that I just looked at. She said something, we may need to recalculate the filing fee because of the impacts into the riverfront area. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but just to make a note of it, that we need to look at that again.
Yes, for restoration work, we often haven't had to address those comments. I saw that from DEP. So after this hearing, when we close, if there are any outstanding fees, we'll certainly take a look at that.
Okay, commissioners, any questions? I'm sorry.
Sorry.
You want to-
I was gonna ask
Yes.
a quick question. Sorry, guys, I'm not extremely familiar with how things work. My husband has been working more with Andrew. To the right of the tennis court there, when we bought the house, you didn't have bushes, blueberries, and all that stuff. It was just low vegetation. Why are we being requested to plant over 300 bushes there if there was nothing there before? And Mia came several times. I'm sure you guys have records. There were pictures from no bushes and now 350 bushes. I'm just wondering why that is if there was only low vegetation there before. Why is that a part of the proposed and of one of the requirements? Because one thing is restoring to what was there before. One thing is making a forest when there was never that before there. So I'm just a little confused of why that's being one of the conditions and one of the requirements by the conservation.
I wasn't there before it was all torn up, so I'm not familiar with what the conditions were. Have you been there, Andrew, before any of the work occurred?
Not up in that area, as there was no wetland resource areas. I was really only flagging the wetlands and walking by everything else. So I've seen it since then, and I know the trees are all still there. I know there's not a shrub layer currently, and so I was understanding from your comments that the shrubs were required, but
this is
the condition.
Bought the house, guys, before we bought the house, and I have this all on email. We actually walked through the entire area with Mia. There was nothing there. She must have pictures, because here we are, we're going to spend at least 30 grand buying bushes that were never there before and that have never been there. How reasonable and fair is this? If you guys should have this as part of your process. If Mia walked through however many times, there should be pictures on your file that you can reference. I can try to go through back to my pictures and everything, but there weren't bushes there before, especially 350 units of bushes. So that's a little bit for me. I understand if it was there and it came down, but it was not there before. There was low vegetations and no bushes in that area before. And somebody must have a record there of what was in that vegetation. And I would really appreciate if somebody would at least do a research on the conservation files to find that information, because that would save us a lot of headache. This has been a painful process. I've wanted to sell my house and get out of this town. I mean, a lot of things going on, and it's just not even, small things. So I would really appreciate if somebody, for the sake of my family, would really do that research. I don't want to have to do something that was not there before.
Okay, Mrs. Menendez, thank you. Let us get through this discussion, then we'll come back to you, okay? My understanding, again, I'm not familiar with the property prior. My understanding, Andrew and Vinny, is that there might have been some disturbance to this area previously. Is that fair or not?
Andrew, I'm sorry, can you please point it out again? Because I may be more familiar a little bit with my wife said, and can you please point it out again? Because I may misunderstand this, as the number is 350 bush. So I'm just trying to visualize myself where this gonna be planted now, because I know that me and Van and you walk in the front on the right, front and the left, and then back where the chicken coop was. And that section, we agree, we have a conversation, and that's why we have this meeting now to go in this process. But beside that, can you please point it out and help guide me on to me understand a little bit, please?
Yeah,
Can
certainly.
you
So
show
the
him the
area
area
they're
we're
talking-
talking about? Thank you.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the area in question is kind of all of this that we see in these hash marks along the wood fence that we have on the sides of the tennis court in the house. In this area, all the trees are still there, but it's exposed soils now. It's all been graded. And so this is kind of this whole long area on the strip of the house along that fence is what we're talking about.
Okay, let's me make my comments. So since you bought the house and probably the conservation know that, and Mia, that section that you pointed out on the right side of the tennis court, where the big section line up there, that section, our dream is take all the trees down. That's why you have so many things done. Take all the trees down and put this grass over there for my kids to play with, right? Because the only section in the house. So that section specifically, we still have the open to remove the trees and make this as a backyard, right? So no reason to replant that because we gotta work in the trees and Vinny and everybody know that. So the section on the right, I didn't remove any bushes. No, I'm sorry, guys. I didn't. Maybe someone was there at nighttime and I even didn't see them, but I didn't remove anything like that. The section that you mentioned, I can try this is the section where, let's say, has a little brick all around. That section, I never touched to remove bush or anything like that. Vinny mentioned that, yes, we parked the car there, but parked because of so much leaves and but bush is not. And then where the specific place where the trees planning to be removed down the road, because now with so many things, we don't have even the money to do that. No reason to plant anything there. In my understand, because you planned to remove the trees. So in that section was, and Mia even said, apply and do everything. And I released the permit in 30 days for you because I can see that you guys need that. Was the conversation that I have with Mia back then. You know, probably she has this in file.
And there were no bushes marked there. It was just the big trees and like some, I don't know, there wasn't even grass there. I don't know what it was, dirt. And we have videos of that. We have pictures. We have things, and Mia should have that on her files as well.
If I can respond, Greg.
You can respond, certainly, yes, then I have a comment here too. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So the issue that I think might be getting confused was when we were talking about the density and the plantings and requirement for shrubs, that was in the altered areas around the wetlands in the rear, in the front, in the area by the chicken coop. And in that comment, I think I said to make it similar to what was in the abutting areas, to the native areas. I think that I don't have mine, and I wrote it a couple weeks ago, but typically what I write is that it matches or is similar to what is naturally occurring nearby. This area next to the tennis courts, I know we noted that it is an erodible soil. It's very sandy. It's been packed down. We've been doing a lot of work moving back and forth, and we had a dry summer. So that's one of the sources of the sediment that went down and across the neighbor's property. So we wanted to stabilize it. So I think there are kind of two issues. I don't know that we need shrubs in this area. I think we take them if they're offered, but I think what we really need to do is just stabilize that soil so that it doesn't get transported during the storm events.
Mhm.
Okay. Thanks,
Because the
Vinny.
trees are still there. We still have the canopy. And I wasn't there. The pictures that I have seen from Mia are all since the construction of the chicken coop started. So I can look for some more, but I'm not opposed to reducing the shrub requirements in that area. If it's something, I mean, if in the area nearby, it has one shrub every 200 feet, then I'd be okay with doing that. But it should match the abutting property on the other side of the stone wall that hasn't been altered is what I was thinking.
Mhm.
So guys, just last thing. I don't want to make much comments. You guys in charge, of course, this. I was the one that called me Mia. It was not someone that I call Mia to advise me what I have to do because my kids wanted this chicken coop. We have this chicken come from the last house that we moved from Hopton. And she's advised me to do, right? It was nothing like I was the one that called Mia. First of all, second, when Vin came to my house, I said, Vin, I'm here completely open up to work with you. I'm sorry for the things that I did wrong. And now everything is new to me, but I'm here to work with you in all your requests. Please work with me. And I'm here to open to work and make things, for good. But as Raquel, my wife, says, 350 bush in that section. And I don't think it's realistic and wasn't there, first of all. And guys, we struggled to pay the bills that finalized the construction still. I owe more than $1 million in banks. And now I know it's a big house and everyone's comments, but we have struggled to put a life together after all this increase of everything and pandemic. And this idea, I asked Vin to say, Vin, please help me on this, walk with me. I wanna do my best to make everything right. And was there, I'm not the person that like to not follow the rules. Instead, that I like to follow the rules, and I am here to do things right. But please help our family and me and my wife on this process, please.
Okay, sir. And understand, we're not out here. Our goal is not to make life miserable for you folks. Our goal is to correct. We have multiple violations on this property. Our goal is to correct those violations, protect the wetlands and the natural resources that are around them. So, and that's our goal, and we're certainly willing to work with you in this.
Thank you.
The fact that Vinny received the plan yesterday is an issue, and the fact that I'm not sure you and Andrew have synced up on this plan either is an issue. My own opinion is, I don't say I want to close this tonight, but that's just my opinion. I'd like to be interested in what the commissioners think here. Comments, concerns.
I would agree with you, Greg. I mean, usually when we get presented with a plan, that's the plan. So it sounds like, I don't know, it seems like there's confusion on what the plan should be. So it seems like there's more conversation that needs to take place.
He pointed to you, Andrew. You said
Hey,
that
Raquel, excuse me, ma'am, excuse me. Please let us work this here, and then we'll come back to you. We'll give you a chance to, but I want to go from here from the commission first. Okay, anybody else in the commission have a comment or concern?
I kind of agree with Dan's assumption. It sounds like,
You're muted, Tom.
sorry.
There you go.
I agree with Dan. I think that it sounds like Andrew needs to go over this with the applicants.
Okay, all right. Mrs. Menendez, am I pronouncing that last name correctly?
you're doing great. Menezes, that's
Menendez, okay. All right. Let me see if we have any more public comment out here before we move on here.
Yeah, the only
I see a hand up.
okay.
I see a hand up from Judy Vessel. And I believe that Jim beat me to it and brought her in.
No, I believe she lowered her hand, but Judy, if you want to make a public comment, if you want to raise your hand again, we'll unmute you.
Yep.
All right. Yep. And Greg, if that's all right, I'll be allowed to talk.
Go for it.
All right, Judy, if you just want to unmute your mic and give your name and address for the record.
Judy Vessel, 97 Maynard Street.
Thank you, Mrs. Vessel.
The new plan has addressed most of the points we wanted to raise. I just wanted to clarify that we are getting the ponding, that we haven't gotten any more sand, but we have gotten ponding along our road, and a lot of it during the last storm. So the water is still coming through in a way that it never came through before, and we never had ponding before. So this is all new. The sand coming through is new, and the ponding each time we have a storm where it rains more than 1/10 of an inch is happening. So that really should be addressed because we spent thousands of dollars, the neighbors and ourselves, building this road according to, so it fit the Conservation Commission rulings, and so that we had a large culvert there, and so these sorts of things wouldn't happen. And we have never had any trouble with that road in all the years we've lived there as far as anything like this. And so that is a new issue, and it's a remaining issue, just the ponding so far.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for being so careful with all of this. We really appreciate the care you've taken in putting this plan together.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Mrs. Vessel. Okay, I don't see any more public comments here. So my, Mrs. Menendez, Mr. and Mrs. Menendez and Andrew, I mean, my position here is that we should continue this. And in that interim, you get your heads together and agree. And Vinny, you need to be in there too. And we, you know, we have 4 areas of violation. It sounds like we have plans for 3 of them. This big one certainly needs to be revisited, in my opinion. So,
Can I ask a quick question?
you can.
Please. So Andrew, we brought this up to you a few days back, right? And you said you were having some requirements from Vinny about all these shrubs, and the commission can ask anything they want to ask after there's a violation. So what are the requirements that have been put upon the section? Is one question from the commission, from Vinny so far. And how can we go about to investigate, you know, the reality? I mean, I can go through my records of what was, if you find one shrub in that section, I believe it's a lot, because there weren't trees there, smaller trees. And I'm certain of that because I've walked on that section many times with my kids. So what are the requirements that were already established based on whoever's assessment on that location? So what is the minimum we can do? I mean, I know we have to define this and revise, but is the conservation already set anything on stone?
So I can certainly jump into your question there. So at this hearing tonight, I mean, nothing is set in stone at this point. We're presenting kind of the work that we've brought so far. Where we stand with that area is that the comments are basically that it has to match the abutting area. And so what we can do is we can go back and take a look at that area, and we can do kind of a shrub documentation of what the area on the other side looks like. And we can make sure that our plan matches that. And if what you guys feel that the shrubs are not there, then it may be that we revert to the seed mix and trees that we were talking about originally in this area. So it just has to match the area that was there before. And if those shrubs are not there in the other areas, then I think that that comment has merit and that we can revise the plan and plant it accordingly.
To follow up on that, not to push this through, but the best window to do the planting is the next month or so to get things started. So I was trying to work with them to keep it moving so that we could get things planted and stabilized and settled before winter hits, especially down in the front of the property. So the real major areas are the front of the property and the rear past by the chicken coop, which are not 2 areas in question. The discussion of how much shrubs or how many shrubs are needed in the area in the riverfront area, I'm not sure. It's up to the commission, but I don't know that that's as critical. As long as we get it stabilized, that would be fine. If we then decide that we need more shrubs, we could ask them to put more shrubs in the spring. If that's something the commission might be amenable to. It would have been nice to get this plan last week or even a couple of days ago, so that we could work this out in advance, because I understand the issues, but I don't know what the commission would want to see and how, Andrew, whether that would be acceptable to you, having it more flexible.
Yeah, so my suggestion with that is we are in the window of the growing season, kind of being with this hearing. If we have to continue to the next hearing, we will be outside of the growing season. So, you know, based on your comments and the way you feel about that area, what I would recommend is that we would add a special condition that restoration area 3, and this is called out in our report as restoration area 3, is to be seeded with a conservation seed mix this fall. I think the other areas with the shrubs can be planted as is. So if we accept the plan as is with a special condition that restoration area 3 will get seeded, I think we can look at it in the spring. If the seed mix itself takes well, stabilizes the soils and the trees are all intact, I think that area, because it already is behind the wood fence and is part of their yard, I think that could answer all questions, reduce the erosion, and then the main areas would also be restored. So taking that approach would allow us to get this done this fall and stabilizing as soon as possible. So that may be my recommendation.
And it sounds agreeable to me, but it's up to the commission to decide how much. This was a site where we had an issue in the rear, and then all of a sudden we got another issue in the front unexpectedly. So hopefully we don't have any other unexpected issues arise.
Just speaking for my own self, I'm uncomfortable approving this with, it's either in or it's out. I don't like approving a plan with the biggest component being open. If somebody can convince me there's a way around that, I'm certainly open to that. But I'm not thrilled with that approach. So
I understand the concern over that approach. I think based on the experience that we've had in this area with the washouts, with the erosion controls being installed, I think the primary concern for this area would be the stabilizing of the soils, which the original seed mix proposed would be able to do this fall. I think I have greater concerns over leaving that area exposed and sitting in another month for the meetings. As we go into the winter and storms come, the erosion controls can easily be damaged over that time, and future washout could certainly occur. In my opinion, I think a special condition, it will be binding, it has to be followed, and I think that seed mix going in there would really kind of answer all of our biggest questions now and prevent any future problems. But the way I see this site, I think getting everything stabilized as soon as possible would far outweigh any future impacts that may happen by pushing off and continuing it.
where are these 300 bushes supposed to go? Are they all going into section 3?
There's 300 total in section 3, and then the other sections have between 24 and 40. It's all calculated based on the DEP replication guidelines. So it's all by square footage of the areas. So they were all spread throughout.
Let's just focus on section 3 for a second. Forget the other bushes. So we're recommending here to move ahead with remediation on all 4 sections, with section 3 remediations being seed mix instead of 300 bushes. Is that accurate?
It is, yeah. The trees are all still there in section 3. The fence is on the other side, and it's the exposed soils that are causing the issues in that area.
Questions or comments from the commission? What's the commission think about this? I mean, you've heard my opinion, so.
I have a question about the property. I'm trying to follow section A and B. I'm on Mass Mapper and I'm looking at the 2021 overview, and it looks like there's water right off the tennis court. Is there not water right off the tennis court? Is it further away than it looks like on Mass Mapper?
I would ask what direction you're thinking of.
So
are you looking in
on
the
Mass
conservation
Mapper,
inside the
what's
CR,
that?
Kelly? Are you looking inside the conservation restriction behind the tennis court or the coop?
Yes. Can I share my screen? And I mean, maybe I'm looking at it wrong because this is an opposite orientation, but I'm going based on the orientation of the house, and it looks like there's water right off. Maybe I'm just looking at it wrong. Can I share my screen and you can tell? Sorry, and you can tell me if I'm looking at it right or wrong.
You're muted, Kelly.
All right. Can you see this here?
I don't
So
see
this
it, but
is
I've
the
had problems
house.
today.
I know it's an opposite orientation because on the plan that we were looking at, the house, this profile of the house is facing the other direction. But this is a tennis court.
Yeah, Kelly.
Can you not see this?
No, I don't see anything.
Hold on, let me see. Oh, wait, hold there. There's a button. Can you see that?
I can see the fact
Coming.
you've started. There we go.
Yes.
I got it.
Okay. Sorry, me and tech are not good. Okay, so this is the house. And based on the profile of the plan that they were showing us, correct? This is the tennis court.
Mhm.
Is this
Wait a
water
second.
right here?
No, I think
No,
that's the
that's-
driveway.
Driveway, yeah.
That's the driveway to the
That's the
neighbors.
driveway. Okay. Because I was
I'm-
trying to follow the neighbors' comments and I was looking at 102, 166. I'm like, there shouldn't be ponding over there. But I didn't know if this was actually water coming back to here, because this looks like a lot of water here. And it looks like it comes this way. So I wasn't,
No, there were some wetlands on the other side of the driveway.
so all of this is driveway. And it narrows here.
That would be the vessel's driveway, correct?
The vessel's driveway is here.
Right.
Hold
The-
on, let me,
This property's driveway ends at the very top of the screen where it says A. And the arrow, that's the end of
Yeah.
the driveway there. The driveway goes
let me,
beyond.
well, let me share a different screen. Hold on. Screen mass mapper. What is technology, I tell you.
You got it. It's
Okay,
working.
so this is their driveway, correct?
Who they?
Going
the
this,
back. Yes, that is the Menendez driveway.
okay, what is all of this? Is that water
No,
or
that's
is that
wooded.
all driveway? Because this is the neighbor's driveway, the neighbor that we were just speaking with that said there was ponding,
Yeah.
which is why I went to this website, Mass Mapper. It used to be Oliver, because this is at an elevation of 166 and the Menendez are at 102. Oh, is that? But is it shadows? I don't know.
Could be.
Kelly, I think those are shadows.
Oh, okay.
Okay, those dark spots are not water or ponded water, but shadows that you're seeing.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right, because I was
where's-
trying to figure out what was planted there as well, because they were saying, you know, it wasn't bushes, and I was trying to figure out what was actually planted there. And it looks like pine trees.
Right. I think it's pine trees. And I think that the wetlands are, if you move your arrow to the left, right there. Yeah.
Yeah, where the line is, the green line.
Oh, yes. Yep.
Okay, all right. I was just double checking because it's like, there's a green line here and I think this is what it's saying, but I'm seeing this dark area. So I'm like, okay, thank you.
Bring us back and stop screen sharing, Kelly. We go back to the plan.
Yeah. You think I know how to do that? Hold on a sec.
Okay, good. Thank you, Kelly. Commissioners, any other
you.
comments or questions here about moving forward?
So I have a comment. I agree that it would be nice to close this because it's the best time for planting, and I hate to see us miss the window on the rest of it. And I am okay with the conservation seed mix on the area 3 for this growing season. And then we're going to need to have some confirmation in monitoring of this for next year as far as growth and trees that die or what have you, or shrubs that die. So I'm okay with us getting this stabilized before winter comes. I do think that we need to make sure that the ponding issue is addressed between the two properties, or the driveway and the property.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments from the commission moving forward?
Just a quick comment. I mean, I agree. It seems like the priority should be to stabilize this area 3. Although I am somewhat reluctant. We were presented with the plan today that had 300 shrubs, and then we've gone now to 0, which is, you know, a dramatic difference from what we were presented with. So I'm not sure how we close this and then that's it. Then we're just, the seed mix is the final decision. Is that, I'm not sure how we address if future plantings are necessary. Is there a mechanism we can do that?
It's,
I suppose we could do something along the lines of approving the plan with seed mix as the first step, and then the site is revisited in spring, and any subsequent plantings required are done. So if Vinny goes out in the spring and says, you know, we need this and this and this, and he and Andrew discuss, and they come to a meeting of the mind that says we need to put in 50 shrubs or 60 shrubs, then that happens with no other comments. I mean, that's a possibility, I guess.
I can try to word that as a condition. And I think that's probably the best, as far as I see it, the best approach is to get everything stabilized this fall. And then in the springtime, we can add shrubs and as needed if we need more, but we kind of confirm with Andrew that he's going to do an evaluation of the abutting area, and we will match the number of shrubs in the abutting wooded areas.
Yeah, I think that certainly all sounds good to me. And in our reports where we file planting plans, there's always you know, the subsequent monitoring and the 75% vegetation criteria to be met within those areas. So that already is binding. And so during a spring inspection, I will be evaluating if the seed mix ended up reaching that result. And then I can certainly have Vinny join me on a site walk when we do so. So if the seed mix takes off, we may end up being in the kind of scenario where this becomes good pollinator habitat and with a good understory. If the seed mix doesn't take, then we can certainly revisit that, and that will all be included in the planting plan that would be approved today as part of that monitoring.
Andrew, what do your clients think about that approach?
Yeah, I'd be happy to hear from them as well now.
Yeah, just I think as you guys mentioned, thanks so much for the patience, everything. Definitely it's good to agree in something, and as the person in charge, I forgot his name, sorry. He mentioned to leave this big portion out. It's not ideal. I agree with that. I think it's definitely good to put everything in. And as all the section at the back and the front, we supposed to put this together, you know, because this was violation. And the rest, as I'm just still trying to understand, to be because the plan on the side of the tennis court will be everything removed and put a grass, right? I mean, of course, we planning to do that, and everyone knows. And the section current on the front of the house on the right side, along with the driveway, that will be just a seed mix, right? But I'm just trying to understand as well.
Okay, let's see if we can run it by. So Vinny and Andrew, sections 1 and 2, what's the remediation plan for that?
Yeah, that's going to be shrub and seed mix as planned. Those areas, the abutting densities have plenty of shrubs. The wetlands were a shrub swamp in that area, so that's going to match and that's going to stay the same.
Okay, all right. So some shrub and seed mix for air, so from 1 and 2. How about section 4?
Yep. So section 4 is conservation seed mix, shrubs to match the area behind because it is wetlands and buffer zone, so it's pretty heavily vegetated. So we'll heavily revegetate the entire conservation easement, and then just grass along the coop. And then it would be
and make sure the fence is pulled out and then run across the back.
Exactly. Yep. And that's all noted on these plans.
Okay. And if we find that there was a tree knocked down, we move it. If Mother Nature took her down, we leave it there.
Exactly.
Okay. Now for section 4, what's the plan?
So yeah, that was section 4 back here. This is what it was for.
3.
So yeah, 3, I believe we move forward with a special condition that we seed mix it this fall to install erosion controls. And the Goddard's plan has in place a 75% revegetation criteria. So it will be monitored in the spring to verify if the seed mix with the trees has reached that threshold. And if not, our plan has notation in it that we will have to submit a revised planting plan to reach that threshold. So that area has to reach the 75% threshold as part of the plan.
What happens if we decide, Andrew, in the next couple of years to resubmit the request of the trees that we originally filed with the commission?
Yeah, if you submit a future filing for work, then that area becomes back under review. That would be completely outside of what we're doing now. What we're doing now is just because there was a violation issued for the site, the area has to be brought back into compliance before anything else can occur on the site.
Okay. Vinny, does that sit with you okay?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Guys, read the timing of this because we've been.
Excuse me, Mrs. Menon. Let me work with the commission first, then we'll come to you. Okay. Thank you. Rest of the commissioners, any questions you have about this approach?
You know, I think as long as it's clear, I'm comfortable with it.
Tom, you're good. Tom, you're good.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity for the planting window.
Yeah, we take advantage of the planting window. We try and get this area stabilized. We have some options that if it doesn't work in the spring, we revisit it and we work the other back and the front sides. So,
Correct.
okay. Any other?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Diane, how about you?
Okay.
Okay. Before we move ahead, Mrs. Menendez, you have any comments here?
Well, my question is in a comment because on 2 to 3 previous occasions before, the commission would walk through and say, oh, by tomorrow at noon, and this is at like 12 o'clock the previous day, you have to do this, 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 and that. And I was like, wow, you give me a day notice to get this. I had to call everybody I knew, companies available within the next 12 hours to get something done. So we had that in 3 instances. A couple in a very important, celebration, which is our daughter, 12, month brain cancer free. We had a party. I got somebody by tomorrow 12, you have to do this, this, and this. So you can figure out how my emotions was all over the place. My question is, what would be the timeline? Because, we're going to November. We're going to be away for 2 weeks. What would be the timeline to have this completed? We're going to be out of the country actually in November, and on a trip. So I want to see what the timeline would be to get this done.
Okay. Well, first of all, that was a good reason for the party.
That was a very
good reason for the party. Okay, and that side, that's good news. I guess that's a question for your contractor on the timing. I mean, Vinny, you can, if we approve, you can get this out within what, 21 days?
I have 21 days to get it out. I can get it out sooner. I prioritize based on things that are really pushed and in need. I can make that happen. And just in response to those other times when I said things needed to get done right away, that's because there was erosion issues and there was rain predicted for the following weekend. So things had to get done and buttoned up before we had another blowout, as was referenced in the past. So that's why things had to get done quickly. And it was both conditions were occurring that shouldn't have, and these were reparations or repairs of problem areas.
So we can get the approval out. If it gets approved, we can get that issued certainly within days. And then it's a matter of when the vendors can do their work. And that would be, I think, Goddard, and who else is involved in this? Anybody else?
That'll be Goddard, and then we select a landscaper, or the applicants themselves would select a landscaper, and then we would just notify the commission of when work is going to occur, and then Goddard supervises during the plantings, but the landscaper is up to them to determine.
And you want to get this done in the planting window, which is over the next 4 weeks, right?
That's exactly it. We usually plant into early November, maybe mid-weather permitting, but yeah, the sooner the better, and we'll make ourselves available to do so.
Okay. Does that help with your question, Mrs. Menendez?
It's challenging though, as you know, everybody's extremely busy tidying up for the winter. We'll see with landscaping companies and, you know, with people we've worked with, but it's a challenge to get people there in that quickly, but we'll try the best we can.
Okay. And Goddard probably has some preferred vendors that may respond quicker to them than they would to anybody else, which is a possibility too. So,
Absolutely.
okay. No, final check on public hands, nothing hands up. So we need a motion to close the hearing.
I move that we close this hearing with the exclusion of.
No, just a motion to close the hearing. That's
All
all.
right, so sorry.
Okay.
I just make
Is there a
motion to
second?
Close the hearing.
Is there a second?
Again,
Second by Kelly. Roll call. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
yes.
and I vote yes. Hearing is closed. Now we need a motion. And the
Motion for what?
I think the motion would be something, I know what you're trying to do to me, Kelly, not a problem here. The motion would be something like to approve the plan presented for areas 1, 2, 3, and 4, with the exception that seed mix is used in place of bushes in area 3. And it's revisited in the spring to confirm the growing. And if the growing is not sufficient, then it'll be a replanting effort. Something along those lines.
So moved, because I could not do it better than that.
Yeah, bet you could. That's okay. All right.
Second.
Seconded by Tom Beals. Roll call. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Gouldner,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Done. We've got a plan. Andrew, stay tight with Vinny, please.
Absolutely. He's been in good communication with us, and I appreciate the flexibility on this project and letting us get this in for this planting window. I think it'll be very beneficial for the site. So thank you
Good.
for all of that.
Not a worry. Make sure you sit with your clients. Make sure they're up. They know exactly what's going on too. So
Yep, we certainly will.
very
Thank
good.
you, guys.
Very good. Thank you, folks. Thank you, Mr. and Ms. Menendez.
Thank you, guys.
Greg. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
All right. Hello, Todd Helwig. You're muted, Todd.
Hi.
Hi. Good timing on your part on that one. So, okay, so moving on. Zero Hudson Street. Zero Hudson Street. Do we have anybody for that? I don't see anybody.
I don't think so.
Zero Hudson Street. What's the story in that one, Vinny? They want a continuance?
They've requested a continuance. Yes, they have not submitted any revised plans.
Okay. We opened this hearing on 4/21/21, I think, or April of 21.
Yes, April 15th.
So we're
Year and a
almost
half.
2 years, year and a half in. Should we just move forward with this one and close it on our own? Can we do that? Is there another approach?
They've requested a continuance so that we can continue if we choose to. We could also close it and have them resubmit so that abutters and any new people that are not familiar with the site. And actually, I'm not even sure what they're proposing because they're revising the wetland line and that may change whatever they're proposing. So we haven't gotten any submittal as requested for the last 4 months. So we would.
Didn't you warn them about this
We
some months
did.
back?
Yes.
And we were going to give them like
Till
one more month, and then we're
till
now at
September.
like 3. Yeah.
Till September, we gave them there. Yeah.
I am with clear conscience would recommend not allowing the continuance.
I
I mean,
agree.
yeah.
I agree. This is drug on forever. So
Right.
The property's changed, the wetlands are not known, we don't know what the project is. We're done.
Butters possibly changed too. So,
Right,
yeah.
exactly.
Okay. So the question is that, do we close the hearing and then vote? We don't. We just vote on the continuous request.
No, you close the public hearing and then you vote to deny or to, I've not written a denial order of conditions.
Well,
Yeah,
they can always
because
tell
we
us if they
deny
don't.
it. It's an order of conditions and we deny it because for lack of information.
Yep, and they can resubmit.
I think it would be just denying the continuance, wouldn't it?
No, because a hearing is one thing. You have to let everybody have a chance to speak. So that's what the hearing is. Then the hearing closes and then the commission acts on what was proposed, which was a notice of intent.
we
I think
deny that from lack of information.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so.
Otherwise, I think there's a chance, and I'd have to go back and look, but I think if you just close the hearing and don't do anything, it might be constructively allowed.
Right. That would be constructive approval if we don't respond within 21 days after the close of the hearing. We won't let that happen.
Right. So,
All right. So we need a motion to close the hearing. Is that
well,
correct?
I mean, I assume there's nobody here, there's nobody in the audience, there's nobody.
No, we did a scan. There's no.
Then I would
nobody in the
move,
audience.
I would move to close the hearing for 0 Hudson Street.
Second.
Second.
Roll call vote. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Hellwig,
Yes,
Kelly Marston,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Hearing is closed.
I would move to deny the order of conditions for 0 Hudson Street for failure to provide information requested by the commission.
Second.
Seconded by Tom Beals. Roll call. Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Hellwig,
Yes,
Kelly Marston.
Yes.
Kelly Thank you, and I vote yes. Okay. So the plan here is that they should refile, taking advantage of new abutters. We need a plan. The wetlands that haven't been delineated yet. A new wetland line coming in.
Yes.
Basically starting over.
Yeah, right.
All right. Moving on. That's what I have in terms of public hearing items, Vinny. We have a bunch of other items here, though.
Yes, we do.
You ready to jump in?
I am.
All right. I think we have, let's see, Mr. Nordland. We have people here that are hanging in for 137 Madison Road. So I think we're looking for Ronnie too.
Ronnie, yep. And I think that's Scott Jordan as well.
Yep. Okay. Should be promoted in. All right. All right. I don't see anybody here, but that's because of my technical problems, I think. Oh, wait a second. Now there's Scott.
See Scott. Yep.
See Scott. Do not see.
And
There's
Ronnie.
Mr. Norelden. Thank you, Mr. Norelden. You're muted, Ronnie, by the way, if that's just, Okay, so 137 Madison Road. We know what this is about. Vinny's been out there a couple of times, I think. It sounds like we have an agreement, Vinny. Is that right?
Yes, just to bring the commission up to date, you had approved the, I think it was a notice of intent, and yes, and he was proposing a patio in the backyard within or about 35.5 feet away from the wetland in the back that's along a pond at where am I, 137 Madison. And he proposed to enlarge the patio. We had some discussions, and because it's he still had needed to do the impervious calculations because it's also in the groundwater district. So with all that coming to a head and the enlargement being a 30% or so enlargement of the proposed or the approved plan, we had some discussion, and he's now proposing to do porous pavers. So it's going to be a larger area. It's not going to get any closer to the wetlands line. It was going to be 35.5 feet away, and it's still going to be at least 35.5 feet away. And it's going to be a porous paver situation. So the runoff now will go into the ground instead of running off along that steeper slope that's there. So it seemed like a good situation, but I wanted to make the commission aware of it and see if you needed if we thought it needed any project change, if it was a insignificant project change because it was an improvement, or whether it would be a revised amended order of conditions. I mean, I think I can do that. Yes. Or do you have that, Scott? Or do you want me to run it?
Ronnie, do you have the plan?
I've got it.
Do. Yep.
Oh, you do, Ronnie?
Yep, I have the new plan I can share unless you want to do it yourself.
Yeah, let me do it. I can point to things then.
Yep.
All right, there it is.
All right, so what we have here is the proposed plan. The old plan, you can see my little hand there.
Yep.
Let me zoom a little more. The wetlands are down the bottom of the page. 35.5 feet is the measurement there to where it was the closest in the approved plan. The approved plan had this patio being somewhere in the area of here, coming down around and up to the corner, and they're enlarging it into this area here, and then this area here. So there's 25 to 30% enlargement here, and in this area there. The wetlands move away from the away from the development or proposal. So he's holding even more than the 35.5 feet in that area. He currently has a patio out in this area here that is impervious. He's going to be replacing that with a porous patio. So we're actually going to have an improvement in infiltration capacity at the site. So that's why I thought it could be an insignificant change, and we just move ahead with the work, but we want to confirm with the commission.
Question, comments from the commission.
My opinion is it's insignificant change.
I'd agree with that.
I agree.
A lot of nodding heads here, Vinny.
Okay, yeah, I'm in the screen share, so I can't see much. I'm a little lost. So I'll stop the screen sharing, and then we can move on. Does anyone need the plan anymore?
Nope.
Nope, that sounds great.
So if we're going to accept this, we just vote it as an insignificant project change?
We don't even need to do that. It's more just to let them know that he's able to start construction. I was out there this afternoon, and he's got the perimeter barrier staked and in place. He's going to put another fence post in to hold an area that was sagging, and he's got the 35.5 foot markers in the field.
Right.
So it should be okay.
Good. Okay.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, Scott Jordan from Ecotech. There was one other issue, Vinny, I'm not certain if we had resolved or not with regard to the original order. Something that sort of slipped through the cracks was one condition required an as-built stamped by an engineer. And as you can see, you folks were kind enough to let Ronnie do this hand drawing and pulling tapes out in the field. So we're comfortable with the dimensions that are shown. I just don't want some, years from now to come up that an engineer stamped as-built is required. I'm wondering if, I don't know what the resolution is, maybe a note in the file that, we pull tapes again to confirm dimensions.
Yep, I
Go
addressed that, I think in an email. It wasn't official because it was just an email from me, but I incorrectly clicked one of the buttons or one of the check boxes on our standard conditions, and it said that an as-built was needed, and that was incorrectly checked. I put a note in that email, and I've got a copy of that email in the file, so there shouldn't be a problem with that.
Great.
And the other issue you had asked about was the idea of the signs. So we have the signs available.
Yep.
And we're
Yep,
gonna
we're
put two
comfortable with
on,
that
one
for
on
sure,
each
yep.
tree. Okay. So that should be fine as well.
Sounds like you're good.
Can I just quick comment?
Sure can.
Is the new plan can be at least submitted to the file as the as-built, since we're making a change from the original?
Yeah, they've already submitted the that new plan, and I'll,
Okay.
if anything changes, as most all construction, you know better than anyone probably, Tom, is that stuff changes during construction. So that if there are any changes, we'll reflect it on the plan and have that as Ronnie can put together an as-built.
Okay, perfect.
I mean, he's an engineer. He might be able to stamp it too.
There you go. There you go. All right. Hey, Scott and Ryan, thanks for working with us on this, and good luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Vinny. I appreciate all the help.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, everyone.
All right.
Enjoy that patio.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right.
I think I actually.
Yep, he's gone. Okay.
Who's
Sorry,
that?
Scott. All right, so
425.
Go ahead. I was going to 144, 150. West Main, you want to hold off on that?
Oh, I thought that was at the end of the agenda, but is someone here for that?
There's 3 attendees. James, Richard Regan, and Ronnie. One's got a hand up. James.
Richard Regan is 40
Maple?
40 Maple Lane, yep.
Okay.
Well,
James
actually, we
is-
have, well, actually, was Scott Jordan also going to do 425 Whitney?
I've got a James coming in with his hand up.
Okay.
Should be any minute now. There's James. You're muted, gentlemen. Okay, 144, 150 Whitney Street. Let's talk a little bit about this. Bless you, Todd. Vinny and I walked the site last week and discovered that if you remember this site, had a pretty steep slope in back, goes down to the wetlands. The plan that was we worked around a bit for the plan was a retaining wall, which has not been built. There have been boulders placed on the slope instead, and that's not the plan. So, gentlemen, what's going on?
Mr. Chairman, James Tatro from Azimuth Land Design here with Jim Benincasa of Whitney Street Home Builders. Right. The applicant, you want to explain this?
So the boulders that are on site. So what happened was we actually have a site that was in Shrewsbury that we've been hammering. So we brought some boulders over there. The spot where they did it though was not to replace. We just had that slope, so we figured we would put some stuff on there, and it actually wasn't even our call. It was a site contractor that was there, started grabbing them and putting them along that slope. But at the time, no, that where it is not where the wall was going to be. So we weren't just. I don't want you to think that we were just doing it on the fly to change that. That was where it was going to be a slope anyway. We do want to change the slope now, and I'll let James get into that and the reasoning, but we did before, doing it, send you over a plan. When did we send the plan? The
17th.
The 17th, Monday. But yeah, that was, we could take those rocks out. It's not that.
I'll just, so initially, our very first plan, when we filed the notice of intent, we had shown a one-to-one slope down, and the commission's response quickly was, we don't want a one-to-one slope. And with where we were trying to have the driveway be positioned in the layout, the only other way with the 2-to-1 was to add a short wall. And since that time, we talked about it more, how was positioning the driveway in a certain spot relative to the house was causing us to have that wall. And the applicant said that they would much rather, and their future tenants would much rather not have a wall, and they would prefer to have the slope, and he would as well. And with the extra material from this other site in Shrewsbury, what we'd like to do is take that same 2-to-1 slope, not move at all the erosion control barriers, the limit of work, not move at all the first couple of vertical feet of that slope, but continue that 2-to-1 slope up, reshaping the driveway slightly, actually making it very slightly smaller, a little less impervious cover, and making it very slightly further away from the wetlands, really a couple feet in two directions. And then just doing a 2-to-1 slope all the way up to that driveway. And so it's a matter of replacing 2-to-1 with wall to that same base 2-to-1, again, about 4 feet at the bottom or so at the bottom of that slope, and then just continuing that up as 2-to-1 to the driveway with the position exact limits of the driveway slightly reshaped to accommodate this. But it's no change to limit of work, no change to the house, no change to the infiltration. Again, very slight decrease in impervious surface on lot B 144. There's no change at all to the grading or impervious cover or its location on lot A number 150, street number 150. So it's really just a matter of if you're standing in the road, the right side of the driveway and the area beyond the end of the driveway, where we're just proposing to change the grading a bit to take out the need for that wall.
What do you think, Lee? This is an informal discussion. It sounds like more than that to me. But
Well, what we're considering now is this change going to, same as the last? Is it an insignificant change that can be accommodated with plan adjustments? Or is it something where we need an amended order of conditions, request for that? So that was my question going into this, so that the commission can decide whether it's more of a significant change or not. The issues, I think what James is explaining is true. His grading plan, which, unless he's adjusted it, showed the grading goes over the erosion control barrier that's shown, so he needs to pull stuff back. His 2-to-1 slope isn't going to work as well as he had hoped, without losing a little more on the top of the slope if you're still going to 2-to-1. So we're looking for revised plans for that. And also the idea of the thermal impacts of a rock wall as opposed to grass. And that's the commission's decision.
my 2 cents says this does not sound as insignificant to me.
I agree.
So if that's the case, I think we need an amended order here.
I think we're not. So we don't. I'm sorry. We don't think it's not. It is significant.
I think it's significant. Yes.
And I think it's significant as well.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chair? If the continuation of just the 2-to-1 slope and no wall, if that was done with a geotextile fabric and not with riprap, would that change your perspective as to whether it's an insignificant change?
Put it on your plan, but it would not change my opinion, no. Nope.
So even though, so we're not moving the wetland line, we're not going any closer, we're actually bringing it further away from the wetlands.
There's a couple questions that have to be answered here. I just heard Vinny talk about some questions here. So I think we need to move ahead with a significant project change here.
There was a wall. We approved a wall. There's no wall anymore. That's significant.
Would the commission really rather have a wall long-term than
a slope?
I didn't say what we prefer. I said whether it was, the issue was whether it's significant or insignificant.
this, this is a change of grading where all the base of grading is not being proposed to change. All right.
Well, actually, the toe of the slope is shown going into the perimeter barrier in a bunch of places along the back of 144. You get the line going over your barrier detail or your barrier line, the little hay bales. So that's something that needs to get addressed. That's not a big issue. That can be adjusted with a plan adjustment. But if we had more time to review a plan, that might work out.
Sure. I just, Ben, I didn't change that. I didn't touch the 298, 300, or 302 contours, for instance, off the end of the driveway. I only went from there up. If it's not acceptable now, then I guess it wasn't all along, but
Well, the reason it kind of comes to it, it's more visible because out in the field, the barrier has been pushed back. And it's been filled in up to like along that barrier. You went out there and you shoveled off a little trough on the uphill side, but with the stone is still higher than the barrier, right up close to the wetland perimeter controls.
all right. It's your call. We have to live with it.
Okay, so Vinny, what are we looking for? We're looking for a new plan.
Yeah, they can submit an amended or request for an amended order of conditions. We'll get it in by the application deadline, which I think is the 30th, next couple of Fridays. And we have to do a public hearing and we'd advertise it according to the local regulations.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, board.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay. We have 3 COCs, Vinny.
Yes.
The first one is 425 Whitney Street, which is Steris. I believe, Todd, you recuse yourself from this one, as does Justin.
Yeah, I'm out.
Okay. So, and I believe the reason here is they have decided not to pursue the project in general.
That's correct. Okay. I can share my screen just to verify.
Really.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. This is the back of the property where they're going to be doing the work, and there's nothing there.
So we need a motion for a certificate of compliance with 425 Whitney Street due to project being abandoned.
So moved.
Second. Jumped in there. Dan got the second. All right, roll call. Tom Beals.
Yes.
Dan Clark.
Yes.
Diane Goldner.
Yes.
Kelly Marston.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Good.
40 Maple Lane.
Yes.
Is that Richard Regan?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Mr. Regan, I'm going to bring you into the meeting. What did I do wrong here? There we go. Okay, you should be coming in. Mr. Regan, are you with us? No. Okay.
I see him there. He's
all right. Let's move ahead, Vinny.
I see him there, but
yeah,
Hello.
I don't.
there he
Hello,
is.
Mr. Regan. Okay,
Yes.
we can
I was
hear
looking
you.
for the button. Thank you.
That's right. All right, Vinny. So what's going on here? 40 Maple Lane. There's actually
Yes.
two, right? There's
Yeah, there's two. The first one is for the walkway. That one is for file number ending in, where am I? 896.
Right.
And it's for the rear deck. It's a walkway that went from the driveway into a door. And I can share my screen and got a photo of it. This is taken from along the side of the house where the patio is, that was approved on the right in the corner where my pointer is here. And he's got footings in place, but he hasn't completed the walkway up to this doorway. This is here, and the driveway is in the background there. This is all wetland. So he's requesting a certificate of compliance on this. It's kind of up to the commission. The work is not completed because the walkway is not done, but the risky work of putting the pilings in is done. I'm not sure how the board has dealt with these in the past, whether they would do a partial certificate of compliance, if that's something the applicant would be willing to accept, or whether we do a certificate of compliance and say that not all the work was done, or do you let them say that things are done and they can finish building the walkway on their own? It's kind of a slippery slope for me. I'm not sure of the past practice in town.
Not sure we have a past practice. Could we issue a certificate of compliance and put a note in it that says that they're prohibited from constructing the walkway?
We can. Maybe we can ask Mr. Regan if what he would prefer. Is that something, not that we would follow,
Yeah,
but
I'm just
not sure
throwing
how
it out
he's.
there. I mean, we're not going to require him to build the walkway, right? So that doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's what the order of conditions would do, is you finished all the work on described in the order.
If he tells us it's not his intention to do it, then we could issue the certificate to clean up his title, but then he couldn't do the walkway anymore.
Right, without filing
Unless he
again.
came back with a new notice of intent. And
Right.
otherwise, I don't know how we'd sort of lose the regulatory control.
Correct.
There's no chance of him turning the walkway into a deck, is there? It was just a walkway.
There's always a chance. Not this owner, but if a new buyer comes in.
So I'm confused. Is he building the walkway or not? I guess we can ask him. He's on, right? Are you building the walkway?
I think he wants to sell the house, Dan. I think that's
Oh.
the intent.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Regan, is that true? What is your intent here? I don't want to put words in your
Yeah,
mouth.
we have the house up for sale. I don't know if we're going to sell it. I would like to sell it. We have a new sunroom addition to the home. I've been working on that over the last couple of years. The lumber costs have been, quite expensive. I had a choice to start in on the walk deck and divert money to that, and I held off. Miss McDonald was out there a while back for another issue at my home, and she saw that I had the footings in, and she mentioned at the time that I could go ahead and get this closed out. Because I'm selling the house, I thought that would be a good idea, because the new buyers would obviously want anything and everything closed out. I'm not quite sure what I am. I understand your concerns, but I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the deck. Maybe I'll come to an agreement with the new buyers, but, you know, I can't say that. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I have no intention to do anything that's not on the building permit. I have a building permit for the deck. The deck will be inspected by the town for compliance. And I have a approved set of plans. So there's not any way that I'm going to be deviating from that. But like Vinny said, you never know what somebody's going to do. So
Mr. Reagan,
again,
did you put these footings in yourself, Mr. Reagan?
Yes.
When did you do that?
Wow. Several years ago.
Yeah, this notice of intent or order of conditions was issued in 2006.
I'm just wondering how it got issued in the first place, but that's not why we're here. So that's
right.
Okay.
So again, somebody could do something. I understand what you're saying, but you know, that's out of all of our control. I do have a set of plans I have a permit to build there, but the situation, I haven't finished building. And I understand your concerns, but again, I went through the process from the very beginning correctly. And Ms. McDonald suggested that I get this closed out. So I'm hoping tonight that will happen.
The problem, as Todd said, is that if you get it closed out, you can't build the walkway without filing another notice of intent.
Okay.
Do you understand that?
Yeah, I wasn't quite, I understand it now. I didn't understand, I didn't anticipate that, but if that's what it is, that's what it is. I'll have to refile for another permit to build a walkway. It's not a huge project. But it's something I can't give you a timeline on when I'll be done with it. So I'd like to get it closed out. At the time, speaking with Ms. McDonald, she didn't mention that to me, but I understand these things happen, and she may have not have been aware of that. So whatever the situation is, I'd like to get the footings. I will not be disturbing the ground any further. So if we could get that finalized. I'd obviously prefer to keep the permit and try to do it in the future, but if that's not an option, with the way things are done, I'm not familiar with the way things are done with the commission, then we'll do whatever's necessary. I'll have to close out the permit.
Todd, a permit can't be transferred during a sale, correct? As part of the
Yeah,
deal?
I mean, yeah, I mean, they could, if the order of conditions is opened and then the property transferred, the new owner could do the work. I think what's going on here is the gentleman wants to clear up his title so that he doesn't have a problem selling the house. So if he does that, then we just remove the ability to finish the walkway. If he wants to keep the permit open and have the right to build the walkway, well, then he doesn't get a certificate of compliance. So those are the two options.
So if we close it out and issue a certificate, then the new owners could choose to file.
Yeah, they'd have to come back with a new order, a notice of intent.
Okay. Interesting. Questions, comments from the commission?
Yeah, that is interesting. So they would have to go through the commission again because they're building something there. It wouldn't just be a matter of the building department being involved. Everybody would have to get involved again.
Yep.
Because
So
it's
that's what-
jurisdictional for us. Yeah.
Because that's another thing with, speaking to Ms. McDonald, I didn't realize that would be, I thought that would be closing out the commission part of it and dealing with the building department of the actual structure, because I'm no longer touching the ground or the soil. It's no longer involved. I know I'm out back and I'm within the 35 feet now, but I didn't anticipate that.
Right, pretty much anything you do on that lot outside, you're going to need to deal with the Conservation Commission. Or whoever the new owner is.
Yep.
So I guess it's up to you, Richard. Do you want to hold on to the notice of the order of conditions, or do you want to get the certificate of compliance?
Yeah, it's kind of a tough decision.
And you don't have to make it today either.
Yeah, I'm just trying to close everything out because I know if I do get a buyer, things are going to try to maybe moving fast. And I've been trying for months now to get this going here. I've had some other things that I didn't even know about when I purchased the property that were open, and I've closed those out. Actually, there's one still open, a superseding condition. And I'm trying to avoid any problems with selling the property. But I guess I would prefer at this point just to close it out.
Okay.
And let the new owners, if they want to do something, they can do it. And if I end up keeping the house, I will reopen it. It's not that difficult.
We want to look at the second one before we vote? Let's take a look at the second one before we vote.
You want to vote together? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This ends in 1165.
Yeah, this one is for work on the patio. So he did work on a patio. Sorry, the leaves kind of obscure everything, but this is the end of, kind of down here, you can see the end of the concrete patio.
Yep.
The stairway deck is right here, and the patio ends. This was not noted on the notice of intent as being either grassed or porous or impervious. And this area here is all, actually, especially here, is all stone. And it's not porous stone, it's stone that the water runs across there and goes out into the wetland right here, which is the wetland is right near that poison ivy on the right side of the image. So he's requesting a certificate of compliance on this one as well. The work in the patio is done, but the question is whether it's stabilized adequately.
So in
And
the original plan, there was no, either this wasn't called, there was nothing called for specifically, right?
correct.
Okay.
Is it okay to jump in?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, what the photo doesn't show is that there's a very thick canopy above there. And it is, it's not conducive to getting grass in the area. It's always been, I've had a deck off the house, and I replaced the deck with a sunroom. And then the sunroom had a deck. And then I put the cement down there, kind of control things, because I have a mud issue down there, and it's, again, nothing grows down there because there's a big tree off to the left of that photo, and it just, no sunlight pretty much goes through there. We've tried in the area to grow grass previously, but it doesn't. And during construction, we put the 3/4 inch stone in there, and I've been working on the house for a few years, and I've never noticed any puddling with that 3/4 inch stone. The water doesn't run along the stone at all. When I get a heavy rain, it just goes right through the stone. it never goes through. And to the right of that photo, I have a wall. And that's protecting the wetlands also. So we've had lots of heavy rains, and the water just goes right through the stone, and it's been the best. I'm not going to be able to grow any grass or any plants. Now we have that stairway going down there with there's 2 levels of the deck. When you step off the sunroom, there's a 6-foot area, and then when you go down the stairs, there's another deck area, but it's not that big, but it's bigger. And you step off of that a few steps down, and then you step onto the cement. The cement was, again, to control I couldn't put grass there, and I didn't want to have crushed stone. So I put the pad there, and then I put crushed stone around it, again, because I can't grow grass. And that's the way it's always been since I moved into the home back in '06. As far as it was dirt back there, but it would be muddy, and there was actually a small above ground pool there. That was removed. And now the tree is bigger now, and it's getting bigger every year, and it's spreading its branches out, and it's just not allowing anything to grow there. So I kind of don't agree about the stone. I think it's actually a very good filter. And there's no other water avenues coming into that area of the property other than rain. And it's like I don't have anything coming off the road or anything affecting it. I have that barrier wall to the right, which was discussed back in October 18th, 2021. So I think it's pretty good filtration. Was hoping that we could get this cleared up tonight.
Yeah, it might be. It's something that the issue is more, is it whether it was supposed to be, and it's not clear in the plan. So I don't know that there's a commitment, the requirement that we could have him do anything, but just so the commission's aware, he is within the 15 feet even of the wetland. And at the end of that wall, there is a little scouring area, but it's not anything really significant. It's just where the water flows. It's not an erosive problem, and there's not a big drainage area going to it. So we just, probably best just to close this out.
It looks from the pictures like it's relatively been stable. So I'm okay with closing it.
2.
What about the rear deck piece, the footings piece? Did Mr. Richard say he wants to go ahead and just close that out? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think yes, please.
Okay. All right. Then let's do them both together. We need a motion.
So I'm going to make a motion to close the 2 orders of conditions for 40 Maple Lane.
Second?
Seconded by Kelly.
No, Diane.
Diane. Roll call. Tom Beals.
Yes.
Dan Clark.
Yes.
Diane Goldner.
Yes.
Todd Helwig.
Sure.
Kelly Marston.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
I'm not sure that step was necessary because we're just voting on certificate of compliance, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah, you need to vote to issue it. So I think that's it.
Yeah. All right. We're good, Mr. Regan.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Ladies.
Good luck.
Yep. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Okay. Moving along. Okay. Violations. 20 West Street. Mr. Knox, I'm recusing myself from this one because we have a business relationship. But I will update you quickly that he has moved, as he claims, 100 yards of compost away from the wetlands. But did you check that?
I did. I have a couple of photos.
All right.
So if I can get back to my Zoom, I might have lost you. There it is. All right. Share the screen. 20 West Street. This is the before picture. You can see the two rocks in the front, piles here, piles there. Butternut squash or pumpkins growing. The wetlands are kind of in the back of these ferns. And then I didn't do it nicely. Actually, can I do that? Oh, yes. Do you see the fall picture with the piles not there anymore?
Yes.
You do see them? Okay.
Yes.
I wasn't sure. So these are the two rocks again, and the piles are excavated out. They still have to remove this bit here and along there, but he's gonna pull this out and grade it. I was out there yesterday, I think it was, and he's in the process of getting the work done. He's going to buy seed and seed it, and he's got a couple of plants. He's got a bunch of winterberry and blueberries he's going to plant in there as well, as what he had said. So this is what it was, and this is where it's going, or where it's at in the progress. And he's hoping to have it all graded down this weekend. So I'm going to check it next week and make sure it's all graded right before he does the final seeding and stabilization. But there's a lot of material there that got removed, and he was very agreeable, willing to work with us. He also has a bunch of material equipment on the town property, and he's committed to try to approach the town to acquire the property. So we're making progress on all phases of this one. So it's just an update for the commission if anyone has any questions.
Yep. Going in the right direction. The other violation we have is 44 Sunset Drive. Mr. Kane.
Yes, that one, homeowner, probably about 75, 70 years old. Just a lot of junk and trash being dumped down over his rear yard. Drops off by 30 feet down to a pond area off of Sunset Drive. And I spoke with him 2 days ago. He said he's going to have his landscaper, and I issued a violation notice to him. He came into the office today and gave me the number for his landscaper, who is going to go out there in the next week and pull everything out of the wetlands, everything that's not natural, and pull it out and stabilize it. And they said to go out around Halloween or thereabouts and check to make sure everything's what they want. So that seems like that's making progress too, hopefully.
Good. Good. Okay. Correspondence. DPW doing some sewer maintenance.
Yes, they did sewer maintenance. I did a review of the job plans, design plans, and it's pretty slick. They've got some equipment that goes in and does maintenance on the sewers by going into the manholes and relining the pipes, relining or like drilling through the manholes and injecting epoxies on the outside of it without digging out the manholes. So all the work in this area, even though it's going through existing easements right near wetlands, is all done from within the pipe and not going to alter any of the wetlands. So the DPW is doing a real nice job, and they're going to be monitoring this one. And I issued them an administrative approval, just saying that I had reviewed it, and it appears that complies with those minor exempt project standards. But I wanted to keep the board aware of that. Now, if anyone has questions, actually I have a plan if you wanted to see where it is. It's off 240 Hudson, all the way up to Colburn is where most of the work is occurring. But it matters how much detail you want. I can give it to you if you like.
Tom Beals might want to see it though. I don't know. He likes to look at plans, so.
I don't need to see it.
All right.
What's with DCAM?
Yeah, well, DCAM was one of those, we made a determination and you voted last month to require that if they don't do that we issue the determination, but require that they have all the plans submitted by a certain date, by September 21st. Well, I still haven't gotten the plans, but their intention is that they're going to relocate all the work outside of the jurisdictional zones. And when they refer to that, they mean the DEP's state jurisdictional zones, because they're the state and they're not subject to the local bylaws. So that one isolated wetland that they were impacting or getting into the buffer zone on, they are no longer considering that a protectable wetland area. They're not going into the resource, into the isolated wetland. I don't think. They haven't shown me the plans yet, but I think they are going to be within the 100-foot buffer zone of that, but they're staying outside of the 100-foot buffer zone of the DEP wetland it was on the east side, actually the south side of the property, on the right as you're going in. So they're adjusting their design to stay outside of the buffer zone so that they don't have to file with us. And I requested clarification or certification or something from the DEP, actually from DCAM, saying that what's the citation, that they're not exempt or that they are exempt from the local bylaws. And they said there is no citation, it's just case law. And I asked them to submit something so I can at least have something in hand. But I haven't seen anything on that yet either. Once I do, I can send it out to the commission. I don't know, Todd, if you've had any experience with working with the state.
Well, just that, like you already did the same. If when somebody says you case law, says, well, okay, send me the case then.
Yeah.
So just from my own professional experience, DCR takes the same position, that we're exempt from local bylaws. And I've asked for clarification, and I got from DCR legal says we're exempt. So, but we take the same stance in our agency that DCAM is taking. I don't know if that doesn't give you any concrete written, but it is consistent.
Thank you.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's kind of what I got was that, and it's also the federal doesn't have to deal with the state, and it's the pecking order, I think. So it's kind of like the railroads and the post offices don't have to follow the wetlands regulations for the state or the local regulations. But I asked for the documentation. We'll see what I get.
Sure. I mean, I absolutely, since they promised that we were going to get us those plans by that. I mean, you can still hear that guy. Not a problem. We're going to get it right to you. You won't even have to wait. It'll be the next Monday.
You have my full commitment.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
You'll probably get an email from DCAM legal that says we're exempt.
Well, I got a phone call from DCAM legal.
There you go. There
Because
you go.
I sent the woman Susan Rook, who seems good, but I asked her for the citation. She said she'll look into it, and then I got a phone call from their legal person, and they said it's case law and a whole lot of other stuff, but didn't give me anything in an email or in writing. And she said she's going to talk to the DEP's regional director, and she was an attorney with DCAM before she became the regional director at DEP, and so they said I'd hear from them, and I still haven't. But someday I will.
Sure. You continue to think that.
Okay. right. That's about all I have here. Other than just two quick updates. One, Lincoln Street School, I saw your comments on that. You're working with the contact there. Are you up to speed on what's going on with Lincoln Street?
I mean, as much as we were in the past, they still have plans to do what we had talked about. The town has come back with some concerns about the wood chips. So I think they were looking for clarification from us on what they could use wood chips for. I know that the big old tree stump has been, or not stump, the tree section has been cut down for the outdoor classroom, to be used as little seats, but that's all I have.
Yeah, and just to bring everybody else up to date, the information that I had it as wood chips in the area for the classroom and the walkway, but I was advised by the DPW director and the building inspector in town that that doesn't meet the ADA or universal access requirements, and so we need to adjust the whole design. So I've spent a while adjusting the whole design to meet the ADA requirements, which means stone dust pathways, certain slopes, certain cross slopes, openings and curb openings. So we went through the process. I gave a packet to the teacher or the person at the school and asked him to send it to the contractor to see if we can still get it built for the amount of money that we have in the grant. And I haven't heard anything back. I just sent that out, I think it was either yesterday or this morning. So hopefully we'll hear back that they can make it work, but I'm sure it's an increase in price or increase in costs. But we'll see what we can do.
Anybody else have anything you want to bring up?
Anybody
anything you want to bring up?
remember
Sorry, go ahead.
Berlin Landing Realty Trust?
What?
Berlin Landing Realty Trust. I saw this the other day, and there's a case that from Northborough that's going to be heard by the Supreme Judicial Court and it has to do with a daycare center and a setback, and it's going to make a pretty significant change to the law. And I was just trying to remember, this isn't the thing over the floating daycare center over on Barefoot Road, is it?
I believe it is.
Maybe not. It's something in town, but I couldn't remember if there's wetlands involved, but I couldn't remember the name didn't sound familiar to me.
Yeah, I'm not familiar. Barefoot Road, actually, you guys approved a revised or another insignificant change because they moved the building away from the wetlands and relocated over to the other side. So that was a good thing.
And they changed, there was no longer going to be a daycare center, it's going to be a group home, I think.
Group home, right.
That's right. All right, that's it.
Anybody else have anything, any jewels they want to bring up? What's going on in your neck of the woods?
At some point, I know that it's been busy, but we still have to come back around to Edmund Hill Woods
Trees, yes.
trees.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I can probably get onto that this month. I was finishing up with the ADA survey and evaluation for the trails and the parking areas and all this stuff that's needed for the 2020 open space and recreation plan update that had not been done for the last 2 years. So I think I have that done, but I haven't got confirmation from the CMRPC folks yet. But
And that
hopefully
would
we'll get to
be
that.
more of a priority than trees at Edmund Hill Woods. So
To some,
we'll get there.
yes.
Anything else?
Not
No?
for me.
All right. All right.
Move to
Next
adjourn?
meeting. Next meeting.
Next
Vinny.
meeting.
Ah,
Well,
yeah.
next
We're
meeting.
close. We're close. Okay.
We are very close. I don't know about
Next meeting.
Jim. I think he's still listening. I was hoping that we could make a meeting for Thursday, November 17th. Then we would have a host available to do that possibly. And I mentioned it to Jim, but he was going to get back to me, but I think he's still here. So is that a possibility, Jim?
Yeah, I'll confirm on Monday with you.
Okay.
Just a heads up, if you choose that date, I'm not available the 17th, so just to let you know.
Neither am I.
Oh, okay.
I actually may have a problem too, Vinny.
Well, and that no
On that
sense in
date.
worrying about it.
No.
Then do we have an idea what day works?
Well, what's Jim's schedule, I guess, is the starting point.
Well, the hard part is Jim is not supposed to be doing hosting of meetings anymore. We're trying to hire within the town, trying to hire a Zoom host. I hear that there's going to be someone hired in the next couple of weeks, so we won't have to have this problem. But it's always a nightmare to try to reschedule meetings and re-advertise and post everything in advance when we don't know that we're going to hold a meeting on a certain night. Because the meeting that is currently on the schedule is for Monday, the 14th.
Yeah.
So we can either, if are people available for that night?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Because we could also do it in person.
I'm gone from the 11th to 20th, so I'm out that whole week.
Ice cream season's over?
Yes, this
Ice cream
Sunday,
season-
last day.
Ice cream season goes over. Kelly goes nuts. She goes crazy for her. That's it.
I do. We
Monday's the
celebrate
last
No
day?
School November. Yeah, Sunday's the last day.
Monday.
Sunday.
No, Sunday. Sunday. Do not come Monday. Yeah.
I guess that's up to you, Greg. What do you think about a day, another day, a different week?
Well, now we're talking into Thanksgiving the week after, right? So it's a sure week to begin with.
Right. Well, but if we do the Monday, and I got to find I know there's a calendar option somewhere on this computer.
14th, you're talking, or Monday the 21st?
21st.
The 21st.
That will be in person or remote?
I don't know. We don't have a host.
You'll be a Zoom master by then.
No, I'll be more confused than I am now, which is kind of scary.
First is just about a month away, so that's a pretty good date. We seem to have attendance. Let's go that way and see if we can patch together our remote meeting. If we can't, we make it in person, I guess.
It's okay with me, I think.
21st works for me.
Fine.
All right by me.
Vinny, is anybody meeting in person in town?
No, even I've got an open space meeting on Monday that's going to be a Zoom meeting.
I noticed John tried to get it in person and it apparently didn't work. So
right.
Yeah. Didn't have a lot of takers, I'm guessing.
None, I don't think.
Do we want to pursue the Zoom meeting for that date?
For the 21st or November 21st?
Yes.
Yes. I'll ask around again. It's always a good reason to bark up the tree and say, well, the commission met last night, schedule something for Monday the 21st. Are we going to have a host for that? And I'll ask and see what they say.
Fair enough. Okay, Vinny, do you have anything else before we adjourn?
Oh no, I filled up the agenda. That's enough.
Okay. I think we're ready.
Well, you bit my head off last time. I'm not doing it this time.
Ellie, your turn.
A motion that we close the meeting.
Second.
Adjourn.
Tom Beals,
Yes.
Dan Clark,
Yes.
Diane Goldner,
Yes.
Todd Helwig,
Yes.
Kelly Marston,